Well, it is finally here, the Eastern Conference MLS final. We have Orlando City SC and the New York Red Bulls. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to MLS Moves. Please make sure you like this video down below. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We are 170 subscribers away from 5,000. We're going to hit that by next week, which is MLS Cup Final Day. So make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. Share this link with a friend. Let's grow the audience as much as we can. We're going to find out tonight who is going to represent the Eastern Conference in the MLS Cup Final. Should be a good game between two good teams. Orlando City SC, New York Red Bulls. It's going to be a very close game, in my opinion. I think it could go either way. My prediction for this game is that the Red Bulls will win. But before I give you a score prediction, I want to know who you guys think is going to win and what your score prediction is going to be. We already have a very lively chat so far. Daniel loves Fortnite, says, let's go Red Bulls. He says, Orlando sucks, Orlando sucks, Orlando sucks. Jaime Martinez says, Red Bulls for the win. Antonio Owen says, I'm a Crew fan, and I be on Red Bull's side. Send they knock us out. Yeah, since they knocked you out. Yeah, that was a pretty surprising series, right? They swept the Columbus Crew. That's why I think this team is just built different this year under Sandro Schwartz and Emil Forsberg leading the charge. Feels like a different New York Red Bulls team. I think this is the first time the Red Bulls have made it to, it is the first time they made it to the Eastern Conference Final since 2018. But this is the first. They're playing for a chance to make it their first MLS Cup since 2008, if I'm not mistaken. The Ghost Rider says, "Now Orlando will kill it." Yeah, there's a lot of chirping, a lot of going back and forth tonight. But I want to know what's your score prediction. Who do you have winning this game? Keep in mind, guys, this is the first of two streams tonight. I'm going to do a back-to-back, doing this match, and then I'm doing the Western Conference Final as well between the Galaxy and the Sounders. It's going to be a long night, so hopefully we'll see all of you for both streams. But I want to know what your score predictions is for this match between the Red Bulls and the Orlando City. I think it's going to be a very, very close game, and I think that I've said numerous times, if you guys have watched any of my recaps or other streams, that this is the year of the goalkeeper. And Galese is a better goalkeeper than Coronel. So that is something that's in their favor. I just don't know if I can trust Oscar Pereira to lead this team in a big game like this. Because if I'm not mistaken, I think this is Oscar Pereira's first ever conference final. I don't recall him making it to a conference final with the FC Dallas back in the day. And I don't think he made a conference final with Orlando City. I think this is the first one they've ever made. So there's a huge pressure on him, and he normally doesn't live up to that. I'm looking for Facundo Torres to have a big game. He needs to have a big game in order for them to win. Enrique obviously was the one who scored their game winner last week, and he's going to have a big game. I just don't know. It just feels like they're missing something. Duncan McGuire hasn't been starting. Luis Muriel has been kind of a bust. He's only scored like 4 goals this year, something like that, 3 or 4 goals. So I think that they're missing some stuff, but they've made it this far. They're obviously on a mission. Now, Atlanta United's luck ran out last week when they beat them. Brad Guzan obviously was heroic for Atlanta United when they beat Inter Miami in the first round. But this is going to be the best team, in my opinion, that Orlando City has faced. And we're talking about a Red Bulls team who swept the Crew. They beat the New York City FC, which they hadn't beat them all season long. They lost 2 of their first matchups. They were able to beat them. It just feels like they're the hottest team in the league right now, outside of maybe the LA Galaxy. So I think it's the one thing that is in favor for Orlando is it is at home for them. But I'm going to say I think that the Red Bulls are going to win this match 2-1. I think it's going to be 2-1. And I saved this stat earlier. I want to read this off. So with Emil Forsberg, when he doesn't play for the Red Bulls, they have 3 wins, 3 draws, 9 losses. 3 wins, 3 draws, 9 losses when Emil Forsberg does not play for the Red Bulls. When he does play for the Red Bulls, they have 10 wins, 10 draws, 10 wins, 6 draws, 6 losses. So they have a winning record and a really bad losing record when he doesn't play. So he's a difference maker. He's one of the most underrated signings in Major League Soccer this season, and he's changed his team. Now, I do wish that he had a little bit more help, because it's hard to do this in Major League Soccer right now by yourself. But he's been very good for him. He's helped change his team along with Sandro Schwartz, and they definitely have a lot to be hopeful for heading into next year, even if their season ends today. And I mean, you beat your rival, the Red Bulls, beat their rival in the semifinals, which is a big deal. So I'll be curious to see how much the Red Bulls or Red Bull, I think it's, what is it called? RB, what is Red Bull GmbH. I'll be curious to see, which, by the way, if you guys, I didn't know this till recently, Jurgen Klopp apparently is the president of that group now, or he's going to be, or the president of the football side. He's going to be over all of it starting January 1st. I thought that was interesting. Either way, this is a Red Bull team that looks like they're ready to spend, invest, try to go for it again, which we haven't seen in a very long time, probably since the Thierry Henry days. Thierry Henry left in 2014. That was their last big name player that they had. Now, Emil Forsberg obviously isn't as known as Thierry Henry, but he is a name. He's got 90 caps for the Swedish national team. Played for Leipzig for years, almost a decade. So I think they're turning a new page, and they're trying to go back to their old days where they are trying to spend and help this team win. Cute Kenny says, I think the Red Bulls win 3-2 over Orlando. The only thing about that is that the Red Bulls, I think they're the most goals they've scored in a playoff game this year is like 2, if I'm not mistaken. Let me look and see just to double check. So they scored 2 in the second crew leg, and they scored 2 goals in the New York City match. So they don't score a lot of goals. I don't think Orlando City really has either. I think Orlando City is one of these other defensive teams. They've barely snuck it out. Yeah, so the most they scored was the first leg against Charlotte FC in game 1, 2-0. They really don't score a lot of goals either. So this could be a very low scoring game. There's a good chance it could be. And we're underway. Officially kicking off. Eastern Conference Final. Let's go. For a chance to make it to the MLS Cup Final, let's see who will face the winner of the Western Conference Final tonight. Van Zier's also been a very good player for the New York Red Bulls. Very, very good player. Oh, so is it Carballo? He's not playing tonight. He had a great goal last week. I didn't even realize. So he's injured. Final score 1,000-1. Antonio Owen says, with how both play, I would be surprised if it goes to a PK shootout. Well, I mean, I think that 2 of Orlando City's games against Charlotte FC went to a PK. Went to PKs or penalties. How do you guys feel about the 2 Eastern Conference teams, though? Because a lot of complaint has been that this is a very watered down version of the Eastern Conference because both of the top seeds are out. You have the 4th seed versus the 7th seed or something like that. I think Orlando, I know that the Red Bulls are the 7th seed. I think Orlando is the 4th, maybe they're the 3rd seed. either way, the top two teams meaning the first and the second seed. Not saying that anyone's not a big club, because I know some people get offended by that. But are you surprised, or how do you feel about these two teams making it to the Eastern Conference Final? I don't think anyone projected that these would be the two teams to make it to the Eastern Conference Final. How do you feel about that? Because I'll be honest with you, I personally thought that Miami would have made it. I thought that the Crew, if Miami didn't, at least the Crew would have made it, right? That was the two teams that were the most hyped and had the most potential. But these are the final two teams left standing. You know, if you told me that a Florida club was going to make it, I wouldn't have predicted it would be Orlando City SC. But hey, they're here. These two teams are going to have a chance to play for the MLS Cup Final. DeMar Murray says, top two teams couldn't get there. Well deserved for Orlando and New York. They earned it. Yeah, and that was a debate on people saying if the playoffs have been ruined and that's why the top teams haven't made it. You know, that's a lot of people complaining. Obviously, some people are salty because their team got eliminated, but I do think that the playoffs can spark some teams getting hot, like the Red Bulls. Red Bulls lost their last match against the Crew in the regular season, but they got hot at the right time, and they're unbeaten in 3 games. They haven't had a draw or a loss in the playoffs in the first round, because you can lose or have a draw in the first round. So they're 3-0 in the playoffs, just like the Galaxy. So they're firing on all cylinders. They look really good. They're playing as a good team. I just don't know if they have enough to get the job done to win the MLS Cup Final, or hell, even make it there. All Out Soccer says, how is it going? We ready for a Red Bulls counterattacking masterclass tonight? Yeah, it's funny too. So when Troy Lessin left the Red Bulls, some people were excited about Sandro Schwartz taking over. And I remember at some point in the season, keep in mind, Emil Forsberg missed a lot of games. People were saying, are we sure that Sandro Schwartz is better than Troy Lessin? He's overrated. He's not doing as well. Another overrated European coach coming to MLS and failing. But look where he is. Look where he is. This right here is a prime example of great managing, or good managing, making the difference. Because I believe the Red Bulls have upgraded at their managerial position, and you're seeing the payoff for this. They're in the Eastern Conference Final. And keep in mind, I made this post, I've updated it because there's been some moving parts, but there are 12 coaching changes that have occurred from the beginning of the season to the end of the season. 12 of 29 teams have made coaching changes. And MLS is lacking in the coaching department. So that's one thing that needs to get better. And you're seeing that teams are starting to take notice that the coaching is not living up to the expectations. And you can see with what they're doing how much of a difference this is making for a team like the Red Bulls. Or look at Miami. Set the MLS record for points in a season and failed in the first round. Tata Martino fired, left for personal reasons, whatever the hell you want to believe. Either way, he's not here anymore. They're holding a high standard and saying that that's not good enough for the job or the expectations we have. And if we're talking MLS past, if you break a record of most points, you might get 5 years of a window, even if you're bad. But now there's teams that are having more European standards of, hey, if you lose, we'll find someone who can win, which is good. I think that's good for the league. Mr. Krabs says, it seems like the offseason has overtaken the playoffs that are going on. Yeah, I mean, I think that that's a fair point. I think that that's definitely a fair point, because a lot of teams are forced to have to announce their roster decisions during the playoffs, which kind of sucks. Should be something that's after the season. and that's what everybody's talking about. They're talking about Kevin Danke for Cincinnati. They're just talking about all the moves, the transactions, and not doing a good enough job of promoting this game like they probably should. They should be. So it definitely is taking the offseason definitely is putting a dent into the playoffs, and the 3 weeks didn't help obviously either. The 3-week break obviously did not help, or 2, depending on how you finish in the first round. Either way, yes, I agree completely, and it's going to ramp up even more. You're going to hear even more news next week. Starting Monday, I expect us to hear more transfer news about players that are being targeted by MLS teams or are signing with MLS teams. It's just going to only ramp up from here. And I'll be curious to see. Hopefully we get some news in January at the owners meeting or next month about some roster rule changes, but I'll believe it when I see it. Hugh Kinney says, I think both the Red Bulls and Orlando show MLS not to be underestimated. Maybe so, but I think that it's a little bit of 2 parts, right? It's about form being in good rhythm, momentum, but also luck does play a part in it. Because if you're in a single elimination game, like right here, if one of these teams have one bad night, their season's over. Now, some people will say, does that bring the best out of the players? Does that improve the quality? Yeah, I think it does improve the quality, but it leaves very, very little room for error. And some teams can get lucky. But I'm a big fan of the single elimination. I love the single. I'll take single elimination over 3 games in a round any day of the week. DeMar Murray says, any news about roster or league changes coming from this winter window? I haven't heard anything specific. I just know that there is pressure from certain owners of the league to increase the spending, change something, do something different. The cheap owners, Don Garber, trying to delay the inevitable, kick the can down the road. They were supposed to do something this past winter, and they punted on it. There's just no way they can punt on it this winter. They're going to have to do something. And what really sucks is that the original CBA ended, the collective bargaining agreement, which is, if some of you don't know, that's how it's determined what the salaries are, the salary cap, all that stuff, GAM, TAM, thank you, ma'am, whatever it may be. That was originally supposed to end in 2025, but because of COVID, they had a special clause in the deal to where they could renegotiate, and that's what the owners did. And they extended it from instead of it ending in 2025 or after the 2024 season, it now carries through 2027. So they added 3 years to it, and it's kind of delayed the whole process. So the spending that we're seeing right now in 2024 is the spending that we should have seen in 2022. Everything has been delayed 2 full years. All Out Soccer says, Forsberg has been excellent. They are so much better with him, and they peaked at the right time, which is huge for MLS. Yeah, I agree. I read a stat earlier about Forsberg. They've won 10 games, 3 draws, 3 losses with him in the starting lineup. And then when he is out of the starting lineup, they are like 3 wins, 3 draws, 9 losses. So he is a huge difference maker for the New York Red Bulls. Huge difference maker. Jaime Martinez says Tata for sure got fired. 100% he got fired. They told him to pack his bags. Timothy Park says Red Bulls are winning this for sure tonight. I mean, if they lose, I would consider it an upset because of the teams that they have beaten and how well they played this playoffs. They're the second best team in the playoffs, in my opinion, outside of only coming second to the LA Galaxy, because the Galaxy are just scoring machines. We all know what the Galaxy can do damage-wise. They're averaging 5 goals a game in 3 matches. It's just absolutely insane what they're doing. And they play tonight against the Sounders. It'll be interesting to see how that game pans out, because both fan bases obviously feel good about their club until they take the pitch, and we'll find out who prevails. All Out Soccer says, when we switch the European schedule and loosen the reins on the roster rules and limitations, I expect the viewership to drastically improve in other countries for a few reasons. What reasons would you say that would be? What I mean, I agree with you, but what reasons would you say it would improve? I think having it on the same soccer schedule is good with other countries for many reasons, especially the transfer market, viewership. People can wake up and watch the Premier League and then watch MLS later that night. A lot of beneficial, a lot of things that are beneficial for MLS to switch that. I made many videos about it, so hopefully that does happen. Jaime Martinez says, "Thank you, Apple TV, for the schedule change." All Out Soccer says, "Saw Corinthians in the Brazilian league is interested in Acosta, Lucho Acosta." Yeah, I'd be very surprised if Lucho. I don't expect Lucho to come back. I mean, if you're asking me percentage of like chances he comes back, I would say like a 5% chance he comes back. I just don't see a way he comes back. And I don't think it's a money issue. I think it's he really really wants to be back in South America, and more specifically wants to be back in Argentina. So I seriously doubt that Lucho Acosta stays with Cincinnati no matter how much money they offer him. I don't see it happening. Oh, sorry, my bad. Didn't know I had the score blocked off there so you guys can see it. Guys, if you haven't already, make sure you like this stream down below. We're trying to grow the audience as much as we can. If you didn't hear me say this earlier, we're 170 subscribers from 5,000. We are getting closer and closer. The momentum is absolutely nuts for this channel. And it's all thanks to you guys. So make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. We're going to hit that 5,000 by MLS Cup Final Day, thanks to you guys and all your support. And also make sure you hit that little bell notification so you never miss one of my videos, one of my emergency live streams, and one of my watch alongs. Carrie Rivera says, "Do you have a full match on here for us to watch for sure? Because all of these loves have been fake." I never. It's not a stream to watch the game. It's just a watch along. I'm just showing you the score while we watch together. It's just like a watch party. Leno says, "Vamos Galaxy." They're looking good. They're looking good heading into this match. Cute Kenny says, "U.S. Open Cup over League Cup." I agree with that. I'll be curious to see what they do to change that, because apparently, what are they looking at here? They're looking at changing the format to the Leagues Cup so that it it's more like the Champions League, where there's a group stage now, but they play throughout the season rather than playing all their games in one big tournament. But at that point, I mean, that's just based on what I've read. But at that point, why don't you just have what that isn't that just the Champions League? Like, what's the point of doing that? I don't understand that whatsoever. All Out Soccer says the main reason for viewership to increase would be the players coming to MLS to play. Players like Danke would be a realistic without roster rules. More hardcore fans would watch us. Yeah, it'd be cool if teams could get like 3 to 4 players like him rather than just one of him, right? That's a hard challenge. Looks like they hit their heads pretty hard. Okay, they're good. But yeah, I think that Danke specifically, oh, that was a tough challenge, man. Right in the back of his head. Ooh. But Danke is a guy that you need a couple of him to change the league, right? All these other leagues have many guys like him. Even the Eredivisie, the Belgian league, obviously it's where he's coming from. They have multiple guys like this. We need more guys like that in this league, not just one per team or 2 or 3. Need like 6 or 7 of those guys per team. And that's the thing. It's not like you're spending 70, 80 million dollars on a guy. You're spending 17 million on one guy. 17 is obviously far from 80. Nobody's expecting MLS to spend $80 million on a player anytime soon, but they should be able to spend $10 million on 8 players, $8 million on 10 players. That should be happening right now. And that's when the league is really going to skyrocket. That's when Major League Soccer is going to start to look more like the Eredivisie, and it's going to have all these young talents that people are interested in, that they could come by, that's going to showcase their talents. And honestly, a lot of people think that having all these younger players come over here, like the Yankees, is bad for the national team or bad for the domestic player. But honestly, I think the domestic player in MLS has kind of stagnated. There's a couple that are shining through, but if you look at the average domestic player, is it honestly better in MLS than it was 10 years ago? I think some of these guys need to be pushed. I think they need to have competition for spots, and if they earn it, they earn it. Does the current schedule conflict with NFL? That's being said. I like having MLS Cup in December. Yeah, I mean, it's competing with NFL and it's competing with college football. Like right now, this important game, tied for second most important game, because the Eastern and Western Conference Final are tied for the second most important game in MLS for the season, and they're competing with college football right now. I mean, you have Texas playing Texas A&M in college football. There people are having to choose what they want to watch. But if this game was being played in April or May, more people would be watching it than what they're watching right now. But I am appreciative of you guys who are here watching with me right now. Very appreciative of all the MLS sickos who are here to watch it with me. Do you think MLS should have went to Peacock instead of Apple due to Peacock already having the Premier League? Also, MLS could have had the final on national television, NBC. I mean, I would have loved for them to go to NBC or one of the, partner with someone like that. But the problem is they didn't offer them any money because MLS's viewership is just so bad, or it had been so bad. They're only averaging like 350,000 viewers on their national primetime games. Now, you could say that was ESPN or FS1 not promoting the matches well enough, or MLS not promoting the matches well enough, which is totally fair. But they didn't want the product. They took the money. They took Apple offering them the most money, and it has hurt a little bit. I made a video on this. MLS Apple TV deal flopped. So check that out if you haven't. But I think the biggest issue I have with it was that it was a 10-year deal. 10 years is a long time, especially with inflation. $250 million does not sound as good as it did even 2 years ago annually, especially you got 30 teams in the league starting next year. And they honestly need to be on a network that has other soccer leagues to draw others in. I'm hoping that the Bundesliga goes to Apple TV like it's been rumored to, or they want to make a bid, or even the Premier League one day. I hope that happens, because if they could reel one of those in and package a deal with MLS and Apple TV, or figure something out, regardless of get them on the platform together, that could do wonders for MLS, I think. We also need Apple TV to get either the Bundesliga rights. Yep, I agree. They got to add another league to Apple, just to entice people who maybe don't even care about MLS. That could, because they're already subscribed, could take an interest in the league and give it a chance and maybe start watching it. I agree. The average domestic player has halted to a stop in terms of growth. By bringing top talent, we are now pushing them to get better or get dropped. It is that simple. Yeah, that was the problem I had a couple years ago. It's like they were some teams were trying to force these young guys to play, maybe even if they weren't ready. And it's got to be earned. Like, it has to be earned and battled out, and training cannot just put a guy out there because you want him to start. He's got to earn it. And I'll be honest with you, I don't like that there's only 8 international spots. I wish there was more. I don't think there should be a limit. Bring as many as you want over here. Let them earn it. Most of our best domestic players aren't even playing here anyway. They're playing in Europe. So make the guys here earn it. Duncan McGuire, he's kind of halted a little bit because of he's kind of been injury. He had that shoulder thing a couple weeks ago. He's been a super sub a lot too for Orlando down the stretch, but he had spurts of looking really good, and he's earned it. They had Luis Muriel, who they brought over from, I think it was Atalanta, if I'm not mistaken, and he was able to beat him out for a lot of minutes. But there's so many instances of players being able to perform in the competition and earning it. I think that's the best way to do this and help this league grow forward. Just don't guarantee anybody anything. But what sucks though is if you have a DP that sucks, it's hard to bench them when they're making $4 million a year. It's hard to bench that guy. Badu says, I know so many people who the only reason they don't watch MLS is because it's on Apple TV. Yeah, no, there's a lot of people that don't watch MLS because of Apple TV. And I think a lot of the viewership, now some of it is fans who've been with the league for a while, but I do think a lot of the 2 million subscribers or whatever it is, 1.5 million, a lot of those are just new subscribers to the league who maybe didn't watch it before. So MLS essentially has replaced its old audience with a new audience, when what they should have been doing is trying to grow the audience and get the old establishment with the new audience, not weed out their loyal watchers for new watchers. They need to keep the loyal watchers and then add the new people to that list. Yes, I'm not paying $100 or whatever the price is on Apple TV just to watch soccer for an entire year. I mean, $80. It's $80 if you have Apple TV already. So I mean, it's not the worst deal when you think about it. For 10 months of soccer, $80, $8 a month. It's not bad, but I understand why some people are hesitant. That's why they need to add an option where you can subscribe to one team for maybe $30 to $40 a year, which would be a lot more feasible because a lot of people just want to watch their team, and it would still give you money instead of having these people who aren't subscribing. Like, getting that person who wasn't going to subscribe at all but would to watch their team is better than nothing. And maybe they enjoy it so much that they would eventually stream the following season to get all the matches. DeMar says Paramount Plus is the Netflix for soccer leagues, so my guess is the Bundesliga would go there. Maybe it just depends on what the bid is. I mean, Apple has the money, right? They could bid quite a bit for the rights. Now the question is, how would that work? Because MLS is global. This is a global deal with Apple TV. This is the only person that has the rights globally. I don't know who the domestic broadcaster is for the Bundesliga, but I doubt that they're going to give up the local rights, so they would just be paying for obviously the international rights. Wonder what that money or what that would cost. It's a different situation. That's another thing that's crazy is that MLS sold their entire international rights to Apple for $250. That's kind of crazy when you think about it. $250 a year to own their rights exclusively. Cute Kenny says, I hope San Diego can pull up a fight next year. A new rivalry is coming. I think they definitely can be competitive. They made some questionable signings thus far. I'm not a big fan of, I think, Mikey Veras, the manager. I'm not a big fan of him. I think they could have done better than him. So I don't like a young, inexperienced coach leading an expansion team. I think that's a bad combination. I think they should have went with someone like a more veteran coach, like a Miguel Herrera, even though some people say that would have been a disaster, but it's better than a guy who hasn't done it before with an expansion team, especially if you're going to sign all these Mexican international players. I think it could have been a good fit. And the rumor is they're about to sign Eric Gutierrez from what a touch by Banzier. They're going to sign Eric Gutierrez from Chivas. Speaking of Duncan McGuire in the transfer saga to the championship, I wish my guy Daryl DK could stay healthy. He is a true number 9 with such a massive ceiling. but can't stay healthy at all. Yeah, Daryl DK kind of fell off because of the injuries, and he's only 24 years old. I don't know what exactly his next step needs to be. I think was the one stint he had at Barnsley when he went from Orlando City. He had a really good stint on loan, really good stint, and he just can't stay healthy. He's been unfortunate. He's had the injury bug, so I don't really know what's going to happen with him. But he's still young, so he's got time to figure it out. You'd ideally like him to see him play in a better league than the championship, but I don't know what's going to happen with him long term. He's had offers to come back to MLS that would pay him more than what he's making in the championship, but he's turned them down because he doesn't want to go to he doesn't want to come to MLS. He wants to stay in Europe. That'll be one to definitely keep an eye on. I wish San Diego named themselves San Diego Armada. Much more interesting name. Yeah, but that's the thing. Most of these teams are going to be known as SC, FC, United, Real, Inter. They're going to go with the generic names these days. I don't think we'll ever see an LA Galaxy, a Portland Timbers, Seattle Sounders. Those kind of names. I don't think that's going to happen anymore. I think they're going to be the generic City FC. Caro says, don't you think the low salary cap is also hurting the league? At least money would make the league attractive to players all over the world. The NBA, NFL, and even the EPL did so. Also the IPL. I think that it would help them out, obviously, because you're increasing the spending. But what needs to happen is they need to have a salary cap floor to make these cheap teams spend a certain amount instead of just not doing anything. I don't think Montreal had a true DP on their roster all season long. I mean, I just can't imagine how you could be an MLS team in 2024 and not have a DP on your team. I mean, it's just crazy to think about, honestly. This game is just flying by the way. 30 minutes in, but it's even though it's kind of it's so far, but it's going by pretty quick. 30 minutes in, 0-0 Orlando City SC versus New York Red Bulls for a chance to play in the MLS Cup Final. Like MLS, bet the horse on Apple TV, but the price wall is just hurting a potential audience. Well, also too, they did bet the house on Apple TV, but the problem is Apple TV is not really holding their end of the bargain because they're doing a very poor job on promotion. And this is a good example. I got a text message at 40 minutes ago, right before the match kicked off, that said, here we go. Orlando City versus New York Red Bulls starts now on MLS Season Pass. Who the hell wants an alert the time it's happening that it's on? This should have been something they were sending out alerts days ago, not the day of. You know, what if you're doing something like, oh, I got an alert from Apple. I have to drop everything. I'm going to go watch this game now. Like, no, they should have been doing these alerts days ago, not the day of, not even the day of, not the time of the event taking place. The promotion's got to get better next year. They need to be promoting this, sending alerts like that more often. I think Lozano will do good for San Diego. He is still solid for PSV. Speaking of PSV, Pepe and Tillman are just absolute class for them. Yeah, they had a good game the other day, the comeback, right, in the Champions League. Definitely wish Pepe was starting. I think he's earned it. And if PSV refused to start him, which I saw someone make an argument that's better for him to be a super sub, like that's just the dumbest argument I've ever heard. The best thing to happen to him would for him to get consistent minutes and play, because he has a true chance to push Ballo for that number one spot. I really believe. I got a feeling Pepe will be the starting striker for the national team by 2026. Ooh, nice touch by Ojeda. Pass back to Facundo. Ooh, what a save by Coronel. That was a terrible shot by Facundo Torres. What are you doing, man? That was terrible. Calling it now, FC Cincinnati get the next NWSL team. They already have a stadium. The soccer scene in Cincy keeps growing, and Caitlin Clark just joined the ownership group to bring the NWSL to Cincy. Yeah, but isn't MLS trying to compete with the NWSL? They're going to start their own MLS Women's League, like a MLWS, Major League Women's Soccer. I think they're going to start their own women's league, which is kind of dumb. Why don't you just buy the NWSL or try to merge with them or some sort? Doesn't really make a lot of sense, especially because of how established that league is. Speaking of DK and McGuire, Orlando seems to have a knack for young attacking talent. And they drafted those guys. Another one that they drafted that's really good is Kyle Larin. All guys that they drafted, good strikers. It's like they have a keen eye for strikers in the MLS Super Draft. Kind of crazy. Michael says MLS needs the advertisers in order to offer bigger salaries. Same thing with teams. That's why they need more eyes on the games. Apple TV is making that hard. Yeah, I agree. I think that but they need to do Apple needs to do a better job of promoting to get these people interested. They need to do a better job of getting average people to tune in or check a game out or know what's going on. Not the minute of the game, giving people an alert to let them know it's on. It needs to be something that happens days before. I mean, honestly, this is the biggest game in the Eastern Conference. This is the championship game in the Eastern Conference. And if you're honest with yourself, MLS and Apple didn't do nearly good enough job promoting this game for as big as it is. Now, I did think it was interesting to see that the U.S. soccer account has been promoting MLS lately. That was very interesting. I don't think I've seen that before. The last couple of weeks, every team that's advanced and played, advanced, they send congratulatory posts to them, telling them good luck on, congratulations on your win, good luck in the next round, which is good. I want to see more of the U.S. soccer, the USMNT space, and the MLS start to join forces again. I think that they go their success goes hand in hand. We need to see more of an alliance between both of them. They don't need to act like they hate each other or that they have no association. They need to be intertwined and in lockstep if they want this thing to be successful. More advertisers means more money for sure. All Out Soccer says, I get texts from App all the time for the EPL and Bundesliga games, but only get texts when Miami plays. Sadly, they promote Messi more than the actual MLS league. Exactly. I mean, they treat it like it's a novelty item, like it's Messi and that's all that matters, but they need to do a better job of making everything else matter. Where is all this content, inside storytelling, all this team building, all this just being connected with your club? Where did all that go? It's been 2 years. Have we gotten anything like that? Not that I've seen. DeMar says Apple should pay a TV spot for MLS in the Super Bowl for their upcoming season. They should, especially because it's going to kick off in February. So I agree, and that's going to be a couple weeks before. They definitely should promote MLS at the Super Bowl. 150, 160 million fans tuning in that could see that. And you need to promote it overseas too. There's Super Bowl watchers overseas, and obviously it's an international sport, international package with Apple TV, so promote it over there as well. Pepe 100% should be getting starting minutes. It's the only way he's going to continue to grow. He's the Golden Boot winner, where he's started 60, 70% of his games off the bench. It's crazy. Pepe has more Champions League goals than LDJ, more league goals, more goal involvements, and substantially less minutes played. He has earned the starting spot. Yeah. Luke De Jong is. I just don't see why you wouldn't want your 21-year-old who's scoring at an incredible rate right now, why you wouldn't want to keep him playing and grow and potentially increase his value, right? Because that they're going to try to sell him. You want his value to go up. Only way to do that, it looks like there's a foul on Emil Forsberg. Only way to do that is to get him to play as many minutes as he can. I would like to see Miami get a women's team. I mean, that could happen in the future, but I think they're just really focused on the men's team first. Maybe after they get a championship, that could be something they do down the road. But right now, I think all their focus is on getting Inter Miami into a championship spot. Like, it's crazy how other apps are sending me more notifications about the conference finals than Apple has. I mean, it is crazy. That's what I'm saying. They have 50 to 55%, maybe even 60% of Americans have Apple devices, iPhones, Macs, iPads, whatever it may be. All these people you could be reaching out to that could watch this game or that maybe would turn it on, or you could pique their interest and you're just not even trying to reach out to them. It's crazy. Q Kenny says, I hear rumor that the Crew and Chivas USA, which he's talking about LAFC, might play in the Club World Cup because both Leon and Pachuca have the same ownership. Oh, ooh, Enrique almost scored there. He had a good chance, but held the ball too long. Yeah, I don't know anything about that. I didn't know that Leon and Pachuca had the same ownership group, but that's definitely interesting. I'll see how that pans out. I honestly didn't know that that was a big deal because in the Champions League, they several of the same teams are owned in the Champions League by the same person. Ooh, Lewis Morgan cook. Oh, good deflection. Lewis Morgan was cooking right there. MLS is pouring resources into Messi. Is definitely good for getting an audience, but since Miami's eliminated, they seem to have neglected the playoffs. Yeah, I think that is I think that that's true. And if we're being honest, it's a dangerous challenge, by the way. If we're being honest, if the Galaxy hadn't advanced the Western Conference Final, if it was another team, if it was Minnesota United, you would have now. I'm not saying anything about their performance. I'm not saying that they're a bad team. I'm not saying anything like that. I'm just talking about from a business perspective. If I'm talking from the league's perspective, that would be bad for the league to have all these teams that are in smaller markets with no winning history, no history of winning. Now, Seattle has winning history, but they've been down for a couple of years now. They haven't won an MLS Cup since 2019, and they really have. I mean, they won the Champions League in 2022. It's just been different for the Sounders lately. But it's been different. But LA Galaxy, Seattle's not a big market. It's not LA, it's not New York. They needed the LA Galaxy from a business perspective to make it, or LAFC, because they need to have people tune in for the narrative, for the just teams that are recognizable to the average person or overseas. The LA Galaxy or the MLS definitely want the Galaxy to win MLS Cup. I can tell you that right now. They want the Galaxy to win MLS Cup because it looks good for the league. It is a team that hasn't won a championship in 10 years. It's a team in LA. They want LA Galaxy to make it to the final. They want them to win the final because it will be hosted at LA. It'll be the first time they've hosted one in 10 years. It'll be the first time they've won one in 10 years. And that's what they want. That's what they want to happen. I can just go ahead and tell you right now. That's exactly what they want to happen as things currently stand right now. Caro says the Premier League broadcasts have a lot of programs every day of the week, from week previews to review to interviews, documentaries. They even do a show for fantasy since Premier League fantasy became popular. Yeah, the only thing that I can think of that the league does is they have Twellman do a recap, kind of like what I do, and then preview a match for a few minutes, but not. And he did some kind of weird interview thing where he would interview like players in goal and like some weird studio. But just not nearly enough promotion and like storytelling. Oh, Vanzier's starting to thread a little bit. I think he might have been a little bit offside though, but good Good vision by Emil Forsberg. Good pass by him, too. I have no problem with MLS promoting Messi as they should. He is the literal GOAT. But at the same time, take those eyes and also point them towards other MLS teams and players. Yeah, I agree. They need to give the average fan a reason to want to watch this match. Why they want to watch the Galaxy and the Sounders. Give average fans a reason to why they should tune into other games. Looks like there's a bunch of empty seats there tonight too, if I'm not mistaken. Looks like there's a bunch of empty seats at the stadium tonight. MLS Women's League would die on arrival. None of our U.S. women's national team stars would join a new league for less pay than they are making now. Doesn't make sense. I agree. Think that, like I said earlier, the best bet would be just to have some type of merger partnership with MLS and the NWSL. Oh, what a pass to Van Zier by Lewis Morgan. Trying to find Tolkien. An Orlando versus Minnesota final would have been the small market Super Bowl and a business nightmare. Exactly. Listen, at the end of the day, you guys have to realize that was a beautiful pass by Lewis Morgan, by the way. MLS Comeback Player of the Year, in my opinion. I don't know if that award's been announced yet, but at the end of the day, this is a business. They're trying to make as much money. They're trying to get as much engagement. They're trying to grow a brand. And at this point, because the infancy of the league and there not being enough attention, that final doesn't sell. It doesn't sell to the average person as well. I feel like MLS hate Galaxy, in my opinion. Well, I don't know about that. I think that historically, I think they love the Galaxy, to be honest with you. I think there's a lot of evidence to support they love the Galaxy and treat them like the iconic club that they are. Mr. Krabs says the reason MLS is promoting Messi so much is because the biggest star they ever had, he is the needle mover. He is, but they gotta do more. See, the Club World Cup, which we'll be covering that too next summer. I might even do a video about that in the off season just to get prepared for it. But the problem is that when you have him, you need to capitalize on him. You need to let teams get more players here to build the quality. It's like the Saudi League. The Saudi League, obviously, the market's completely different. But if MLS was doing what the Saudi League was doing, not overpaying for players, but just bringing the same type of players, take Al Nassr's players that they brought in and take them and put them on Inter Miami, but obviously have Messi there instead of Ronaldo. That does move the needle because there's more soccer fans in the United States than there are in Saudi Arabia. And people are already taking notice. Hell, people are taking notice here. Imagine how much more they would notice if they were signing with teams around here. MLS is just too stuck in their old pattern, their old way of thinking, and they're not really evolving with the current, what needs to currently happen to make it a better league. Goes to my point earlier. The domestic player has stagnated. It's not any better than it was 10 years ago, in my opinion. The roster rules are marginally better. Marginally better. By the way, 2 minutes of added time in the first half against Orlando City and Red Bulls. The spending, we'll look this up at halftime because I'm curious. I want to look up the difference to show you guys. But the spending is marginally better than it was 5 years ago. A little bit more GAM, a little bit more TAM, and just 3 U22s. 3 U22s is not going to move the needle. That's not going to do it. You're going to sign 3 guys who are unproven and bring them over here when you really should be able to sign 7 guys however you want, proven or unproven. You should be able to sign the guys however you want. We'll see what happens, though. I think, like I said, I think things are going to change this summer. I think there's going to be some stuff that happens, and we will see if the needle is truly moved by MLS in the winter, which I think it will be. Because the Club World Cup is coming up and the World Cup is coming up in 2026. So they're going to have to start really setting the stage for what's to come in this year. And that's the first half 0-0, Orlando City SC and New York Red Bulls. This game could go to penalties. I think that just as well as the defense has been playing or the offense's lack of converting chances, I think that this could head into penalties down the stretch. They have to go to extra time first, but who knows? Oh, yeah, Mr. Crab says Thierry Henry and Zlatan Ibrahimovic moved the needle a bit. Yeah, they did. And, I was talking to one of my buddies, one of my really close Barca fans, friends, Barcelona, fan / friend. And we were talking about if not quality, but as far as eyes and publicity and promotion, would MLS have been better if they had signed Ronaldo instead of Messi? Because Ronaldo is obviously bilingual. He's got a big personality. He'll go on shows. Would his personality have been better for MLS? That's a valid question. I'm curious to know what you guys think about that, but having someone like Ronaldo here could have been better for promotion and doing all these shows and everything, and they've been able to promote him in all these commercials. Now Messi's been in commercials, but it's obviously different. Messi's a shy guy. He's not bilingual. He doesn't know English fluently. It's just a little bit different. It would have been nice to have both of them in the league, but if Ronaldo was here, I think it would have been more like Zlatan, but enhanced because Ronaldo is bigger than Zlatan. I really wanted the Miami and Galaxy final. That was my prediction on who it would be, but that's definitely not gonna. It's obviously not gonna happen now. Mr. Crab says it's going to be a long time before MLS gets another needle mover again. Who knows? Hey, listen, maybe an Mbappe or a Haaland, someone like that. Eventually, there will be a player to come to MLS at a younger age, like 27, 28. It does move the needle. Someone will do that eventually. I just don't know when it's going to be. It might not be one of them. It might be someone we don't know about yet that's in a couple years that comes on the scene. But there will be someone eventually in that age group, 27 to 28, who comes to MLS and shocks the world. That will happen eventually. Martin Cito says MLS loves the Galaxy. Before Inter Miami, the league would bend the roster rules for the Galaxy. See, that was what people would say. It's what they would say. There was some funny business with the Omar Gonzalez signing when they signed Gio Dos Santos, and they had all 3 DP spots used, and they created TAM so that they could sign him. So there is a valid argument for that. There is a very, very, very valid argument for that. Oh, we got a hold on 1 second. Hey, sorry, I didn't even see you. My bad, man. How's it going?
Man? What's going on?
Hey, what's your thoughts about this first half?
I'll tell you what, we're lucky it's not 1-0 right now. I think we've had possession a lot more than the other games, but there's been a couple mistakes.
No, I agree I agree for sure. And I said this pre-match that this is like the playoffs of the goalkeeper. You have Galese and Coronel obviously battling it out, and I think Orlando might have a little bit better goalkeeper, but Coronel came up big last week especially, and he's doing well tonight. I just feel like the Red Bulls, they maybe could have used another piece or two in the summertime, but right now this team is just playing really well together. They're playing good team ball, and they just seem like they have a lot of momentum along with the chemistry that they've been building.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. 100%.
Yeah. And Emil Forsberg, man, the stats of him, how well they do with him is crazy.
You could see the difference with Emil though. Like you could just see how much better he is than most players. Like when he has the ball, you just see how much smarter than he is,
100%. 100%. Now, I'll ask you this. Were you part of the camp at I think they kind of stalled a little bit this year, especially when Forsberg missed some games. Were you part of the camp of thinking maybe Sandro Schwartz isn't as good as Troy Lessin and that maybe he's just another guy? Or did you always have confidence in him?
I'm going to be honest with you. I'll be real. I am a big pessimist, in terms of Van Zier, for instance. I talked a lot of garbage about him. In the playoffs, he's proved me wrong. He shut me up. Sandro, yeah, I think a couple months ago, I don't know if you saw that statement that came out. Like he was told, like, not to focus on winning championships. It was more development. That like something like that. That kind of soured me, I guess, a little bit. Um, but at the same time, if you go to games and you see him on the sidelines, like you see the passion coming out of him. He's screaming. I think that statement rubbed me the wrong way. But at the same time, I do. At the end of the day, I think he is a good, manager for us.
Yeah, no, I think he is good. And I said this earlier in my stream that I think one of the biggest deficiencies about MLS is the coaching. Sometimes the coaches stay a year too late instead of being maybe fired a year too early.
Yeah,
Troy Lissin, we saw what he's done at DC United. Maybe a similar situation to what how the Red Bulls operated before this year when they signed Emil Forsberg and a couple other pieces. But I think that you can see a difference with coaching. Maybe he had some hiccups in the beginning of the season. And like you said, Van Zier obviously didn't live up to the DP status. But
yeah,
in the playoffs, outside the Galaxy, your team has played better than anyone else. And they haven't lost a game. In the first round, they obviously swept the Crew, and they took down the holy grail of coaches and Wilfred Nancy. And I don't think that was an accident, a happy accident. I think that they just played really well and they were coached really well.
yeah. I think Red Bull fans just have a quick trigger to just kind of be negative. And I think you do see that. Like, I mean, well, I forget how long it was, but they didn't win a game for like a couple months. Like, I don't know if we remember that. It was like I think they beat Cincinnati, and then they went on like a drought of just not winning games. They would draw, but they wouldn't win. Um, so I think you get pessimistic and you get negative, but then you see like like you said, the Columbus game, the NYCFC game, and it's like, oh my God, we're a good team. Like holy
Yeah,
crap! Like you see, like, oh wow, we actually do have the potential to be something. Um,
exactly. It's like they're crossing off they got like a list of like people who've wronged them. They're like crossing them out one by one, and they got the Crew off the list. They got New York City FC off the list. And I think it's the last time Orlando City had played them, they had won like 5-1. Orlando City beat New York City or beat the Red Bulls.
yeah,
So it feels like it's like a revenge tour for the Red Bulls.
it really does. And I have to say that I was at the NYCFC game. That oh my God, like I can't even tell you when they like that final whistle blew. The noise that came out of me, I don't even think was human. Like it was just like something different. Like, cause like they lost. Like I was at that game where they lost. It was like 5-1. Like in September, I was there. I was miserable. So when they won that game, I just it all came out. You know what I'm saying?
No, 100%, man. And obviously, with New York City FC being a newer club, newer compared to the Red Bulls, and then winning at the Cup in 2021, it's bitter, right? Well, it stings. It sucks because you guys have been here since day one, and you want to see your team win.
Yeah,
And I think '08 was the last time you guys played in the MLS Cup Final, and it was against the Galaxy, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah, I
And
believe so. Yeah.
I feel like this team. I I'm not. I know you don't want to hear this, but I'll say this: even if you guys do come up short today, there is a lot to be positive about heading into
Mhm.
next year. Especially, hopefully, Red Bull ownership group will see what's happened and think we're this close. If we just give a little bit more, maybe get
Yeah.
another quality player like Forsberg, that could be the difference in helping us lift the cup.
100%. Like like again, a couple months ago, I would have been like, "Yo, get Schwartz out of here." Now, like you said, I think it's like a quick trigger. You get rid of these coaches. You got to give them time because like look what we're doing. We're in the conference finals, and like you just said, even if they do lose, like again, I don't want them to lose, but I'm gonna walk away proud because if you told me a couple months ago, hey, you're gonna beat Columbus, and then you're gonna go on to beat NYCFC, and you're gonna be in the conference finals, I'd be like, you're crazy. You're absolutely insane.
I think a lot of people would have felt that way, and sometimes it just takes a bit. I think that Schwartz has proven that he's building something special. I don't know how. I personally am not a big fan of Chris Armas. I think he's a mediocre manager, and I think that was the last time you guys
I
were
agree.
here in 2018. I can't remember what the score line was when you guys lost to Atlanta United, but
Yeah, I don't really
Schwartz,
remember.
there's just a confidence, man. Like there's a confidence, Andrew, with this team and with Schwartz. that
Yeah.
I just feel like even though this probably is not the best start, they're in it. They have a really good chance of still winning this game. And I think to hold Orlando City scoreless, like you said, with the chances they had through the first half at home is a good sign.
100%. And before, I gotta head back in, but before I go, Carlos is a legend, and let's go Red Bull.
I
Thank you so
appreciate.
much for having me on, man.
Hey, before you head out, what's the
Yeah,
prediction? What do you think's going to happen? How's it going to finish?
I said 2-1 earlier to my girlfriend because she's here watching with me. Um, Now something's telling me it's gonna go to penalties, and I
I
think
think
it's
so
gonna be
too.
goalless. It's gonna go
I,
goalless into penalties.
I think we're going to get an instant classic and penalties between both of these teams. Andrew, I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much for stopping by. If your team wins, hopefully we'll have you on for a MLS Cup final preview.
I'm sorry. Can't say my AirPod randomly connected. Say that again.
No, you're good. I said, good luck to you. Have enjoy the rest of this game. And if your team prevails, I look forward to hopefully having you on for an MLS Cup final preview next week.
110%, man. Thank you so much again for having me.
No problem, man. Enjoy the rest of the game. See ya.
See you, man. Thank you.
Well, that was Andrew from Metro Bulls TV. Seems pretty happy about what's going on. The Red Bulls are what some people would say playing with house money at this point. As he had said, they didn't expect to be here at this point. They're doing better than a lot of people thought they would have done. Even fans of the team he said if you told him at the halfway point of the season that they would beat New York City FC, they would beat the Crew or sweep them, he would have never believed that. So just crazy outcome for this team, and they're doing really well. And Sandro Schwartz deserves a lot of credit and praise for what they've done. We got 42 of you in the chat right now. Let me know down below, what is your confidence rating in the Red Bulls winning this game, 1 through 10? What's your confidence rating for the Red Bulls to beat Orlando City, 1 through 10? Also, make sure you like the stream down below, share with a friend, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We are 168 subscribers away from 5,000, guys. We're going to hit that 5,000 by next week for MLS Cup Final Day. Thanks to you guys and your support. 168 away. We've gained like 400 subscribers in the last 3 weeks. We're going to hit that number, and I appreciate what you guys have done for this channel, and I hope you all enjoy the content. Let's see. Jonathan says he's a 4. Fidu says he's a 5 out of 10. Honestly, is a toss-up between both teams. I'm thinking it's going to be, I'm thinking that Orlando City not scoring, which they've struggled to score in the playoffs. I'm thinking Orlando City, I'm going to go probably a 6 out of 10 for the Red Bulls. But I agree with my friend Andrew. I do think that I think this game is destined for PKs because of how poorly, just not the defense, but just the shot creations, the chance conversions. I just think that this is headed for PKs as well. I think this game is 100% headed for PKs. I hope the Red Bulls win, then the LA Galaxy wins, because LA versus New York is always money. Get a repeat of the MLB final, right? Let me grab a water real quick. Cute Kenny says it was the Crew that beat the Red Bulls in the final in 2008. Okay, so it wasn't. That's right, because the LA Galaxy were terrible in 2008. Wasn't that when they fired what's his name? The Dutch manager. Was his name Ruud? What was his name? Rudd. Legendary Dutch player was the manager at David Beckham's request. I can't remember what his name was. But yes, I think that I think you're right about that. Ronaldo to MLS would have been great for marketing, especially given his involvement in social media recently. Isn't he like the fastest person to ever reach? Does he have 100 million subscribers? Let me see. I don't think he has 100 million subscribers, but he could. If he's not, I think he's close. Okay, he's 70. He has 70.3 million subscribers. So he's like one of the fastest people. Yeah, is it Ruud Gullit? Is that how you pronounce his name, Ruud Gullit? I'm not very good at pronouncing Dutch names, to be honest with you. Second half is about to kick off. Orlando City SC 0. New York Red Bulls 0. This game is going by very, very quickly, to be honest with you. Very quickly. That was a very fast 45 minutes. And don't forget, we are also doing a live stream watch along for the LA Galaxy and Seattle Sounders next. So I hope to see some of you guys, or all of you guys, honestly, for that next stream as well. Should be fun. We'll get to know who will be playing in the MLS Cup Final next week tonight. I mentioned this earlier. Okay, let's see. So it's pronounced Ruud Gullit. Okay, so Ruud Gullit. Appreciate Master Chef. Appreciate the pronunciation tutorial. Appreciate it. Q Kenny says, I was 11 when the LA Galaxy won MLS Cup. 11 the first time or 11 the last time? By the way, the MLS regular season games, playoff games are shot in 1080p. I think it should be mandatory that the MLS Cup Final should be shot in 4K. They should have extra cameras. The game should be shot in 4K. They should make a big celebration about it. They should try to have someone at the halftime. I mean, they should make it a huge, huge deal. Treat it like it's the championship of the league. And they need to promote the hell out of it. Starting tomorrow, they need to promote the absolute hell out of this MLS Cup Final. Oh, was that John Tolkien? Who? I don't know. Did I go off the crossbar and go in, or did he get to touch that? Who is that? Okay, so it wasn't Tolkien. Who was it that took that? Wow. New York Red Bulls on the board first. 1-0. New York Red Bulls over Orlando City SC. Wow. Sandro Schwartz doesn't even look impressed. He's like, yeah, come on, let's go. Let's go. Doesn't even look impressed. He says, keep it moving. I don't even know if he touched that, did he? Did he just go off the crossbar? Let's watch this replay. Let's see. Did he touch it? Oh, he did. He did touch it. Wow. What a pass. What a whip in. What a whip in. That was beautiful. Wow. Reyes on the end of that. Harper with the assist to Reyes. That was a great finish. Great finish by New York Red Bulls. If you're a Red Bulls fan, you love to see it. You got all the pressure on Orlando City SC now. Wasn't able to score at home in the first half. Obviously have a lot of attacking talent. But that was great. What more could you ask for? What more could you ask for? What a header. Great goal. Calirex says Red Bulls have that grit in them that Orlando have lacked all playoffs, in my opinion. Yeah, that's the problem with Orlando. Orlando feels like, I don't want to say lacking in identity, but I just don't. They haven't had a decisive win, in my opinion. I don't think they've had one all playoffs. They went to 3 games with Charlotte. They barely beat Atlanta United 1-0. They just feel like they're missing something, Orlando City SC. It feels like they're missing something. And Oscar Perea, I think, is a very overrated coach. He's a good builder. He's good at getting you from 1 to 2, but he's not good at getting you from 2 to 3. Or maybe I should reverse that. He's getting you from 3 to 2, but he's not getting you from 2 to 1. I feel like they need to probably make a managerial change at some point if they really. Oh, this game's opening wide up now. Oh, looking for Emil Forsberg deflection, but I just don't think that Oscar Perea is the guy. And they were even talking about replacing him with the former Brazilian manager last year, and until he signed an extension. That was a real possibility because he had struggled, and then he got things back in order, and then he kind of flailed out in the playoffs again. And it's just kind of like a rinse and repeat thing with Oscar Perea. I think they're done with him, honestly. I don't expect him to probably be there. Next year will probably be his last year, but honestly, if it were me, I've seen enough. Orlando has all the promise on the attack, but they have such an issue finishing shots, especially late in the season in the playoffs. I think Oscar Perea is a good, like I said, he's a good builder if your team is bad, but he's just not good at leading he's not going to win an MLS Cup. Ooh, Lewis Morgan almost came out on the end of that to put him up 2-0. Out of bounds for a goal kick for Orlando City. I don't know. Maybe this isn't going to go to PKs or extra time. They really need Facundo Torres to step up in this match. I mean, he's their number 10. He is the most expensive transfer in their history. Obviously, he's getting some calls up for the Uruguayan national team at this point. I'll be curious to see who they bring off the bench, by the way. I think Nico Ladero is on the bench, right? Yeah, so Nico Ladero, Duncan McGuire, Muriel? Luis Muriel. I mean, they're going to have to do something if probably around the 60th minute to create some chance. Ooh. Try to get in the try to get a goal to tie this up. I'd probably bring on Duncan McGuire, honestly, and Nico Ladero. Try to go all out. Which of these two teams do you think is a better matchup for the Galaxy, meaning, or a worse matchup for the Galaxy? Which of these two teams do you think would have a better chance of beating the Galaxy is the better way to ask that? Which between Orlando City SC and the New York Red Bulls would have a better chance at beating the LA Galaxy in the MLS Cup Final if it is the Galaxy to make it? I'd like to say it'd probably be... It's a tough one. Orlando has attacking talent. They just like one of the Fidu said that they just kind of they're not really capitalizing on it. They're not playing with any grit. Cute Kenny says the Red Bulls, I say. Yeah, I mean, it's a tall task for anyone because the Galaxy are undefeated at home this year. So it's going to be really tough for any team to beat them on the road. The playoffs go through LA now. But yeah, I would say that the Red Bulls, I can't believe Felipe Martins is still playing. I think the Red Bulls probably match up better, but the Orlando has the more attacking talent. They're just not able to finish. Red Bulls probably, yeah. I think I agree with that. The Red Bulls, I think, have the better chance. And as it stands right now, it looks like they're gonna face whoever comes out of the Western Conference in the MLS Cup Final for this would be the first time that they played since 2008 in the MLS Cup Final, which apparently they played against the Red Bulls because MLS is going to MLS. And the Red Bulls and the Crew, who are both in the Eastern Conference present day, played in the MLS Cup Final in 2008. Orlando always starts slow, get hot mid-season, and fizzle out in the playoffs. Oscar should be gone next season. He should be gone after this. It's funny when I was talking to one of my higher up friends or connections in the league, They told me that last week when Orlando was playing Atlanta, that both coaches were fighting for their job. The loser of that match was going to lose their job, and that's what happened. Atlanta United lost, and they said they were moving off of Rob Valentino, and Orlando City SC and Oscar Pereira got a chance to fight another day. But if they lose this game at home, the Eastern Conference Final, I think they need to have a serious discussion if it's time to move off of Oscar, because Oscar's been the manager here since 2000. Oh, what was it? 2019 or was it 2020? I'm gonna look this up real quick. 2019. So he's been here for 5 years or 4 years, because he got hired in 2019, but his first season was 2020. He's coached in 193 games, 44% win percentage, and no trophies outside of the U.S. Open Cup in 2022. So I just think that I think the Oscar Pereira experiment might need to come to an end, and that somebody could do a better job than what he is doing. Like I told you earlier, coaching in MLS is mediocre. There's a lot of mediocre coaches. If there wasn't, there wouldn't be 12 people that have been fired this year. Now, the issue that this is the issue they need to correct, is to stop recycling the mediocre coaches. Hire some people outside of the league who actually know what the hell they're doing. Stop hiring the mediocre coaches. Rehiring the mediocre coaches. Stop keeping the mediocre coaches like Peter Vermees. Get rid of him. He sucks. It's time to move on. Cali Rex says Red Bulls would be interesting with their counterattack against LA Galaxy. They have showed against the Columbus Crew they're fine without controlling the ball. Yeah, that's true, but the problem is with the Galaxy is they have the most lethal attack in the entire league, more than Miami. Even though the Crew have a very formidable attack, in Rossi and Cucho Hernandez, their wingbacks, Nagby, pulling the strings. It just feels they have not played a team like the Galaxy who can just pour it on and score 6 goals in a game. I mean, the Galaxy are outscoring their opponents 15-3. It's insane. 15-3 in the last 3 games. Goal differential it's like a 12+ goal differential in the last 3 games is absolutely wild. Absolutely wild. If it is the Galaxy versus Red Bulls, it would be a battle of the original 10 teams. It'd be a battle of the original 10 teams. It would be the 2 biggest markets in the MLS Cup Final, a chance for a team to win their first MLS Cup in 10 years, a chance for a team to win their first MLS Cup in the history of their existence. Oh. Is that a handball? Was that what they're appealing for? I have to watch a replay on this. Jansen needs to calm down a little bit. Saying he tugged on his. Oh, he's saying he tugged on his jersey. I guess they're gonna go. They're gonna review it. Let's see. I don't see it, honestly. I don't see the foul. It was a bad angle, though, to be honest with you. But Q Kenny says, crazy how FC Dallas produces so many talented players. Yeah, but they also hire. Oh, I think that's weak, man. I think he just tripped. I think that's weak. I don't think that was on purpose. But Dallas produces a lot of talent, but they hire coaches like Quill, whatever his name is. They could do better than that. They could have had a better manager than hiring a USL guy. Yeah, he's first place in the USL, but Dallas is supposed to be better than giving chances like that to certain coaches. They need to be hiring a proven guy, someone who's done it at a first division level. I just think that's a bad move from them, and I think that his fate will inevitably be like his predecessor's fate. Luchi Gonzalez didn't pan out. Nico Estevez didn't pan out. And I doubt that this guy's going to pan out too. Could have had a Bradley Carnell who took a St. Louis City SC team that didn't spend a lot of money to finished first place in the Western Conference with LAFC in the conference. I mean, that's the guy I want. I don't want a USL coach. Orlando's starting to threaten a little bit. Too hard of a touch by Lewis Morgan on that one. Baidu says Galaxy versus Red Bulls makes them so much sense not to happen. I mean, it makes sense, but it has to happen organically. It can't be forced. It can't be any type of wrongdoing or rigging or anything like that that causes that to happen. It needs to be the two teams to earn it if it happens. It looks like Duncan McGuire's coming on for Enrique in the second half or the 60th minute. See if Duncan McGuire can give this team a little bit of a spark. Looks like Luis Muriel is coming on as well. For who's he coming on for? Looked like he was coming on for. Who the hell was he coming on for? Thorhallison. So they're going more of an attack oriented. I wonder if we'll see Nico Ladero too soon. '61st minute, New York Red Bulls up 1-0 over Orlando City SC. Looking like they have a good chance to seal the deal and advance to their first MLS Cup since 2008. Look like it's a true underdog story. A team that no one expected to go this far. Looking very well or looking very good at this point to make it to the MLS Cup Final. And hopefully the Red Bull ownership group takes notice, especially because of all the resources they put in Salzburg and Leipzig, that this team can thrive when they invest some money and resources into it. See if they can pull one back here. I think there's a real argument that if Forsberg has been the most underrated signing in the league, there's a couple guys that really you could put into that category, but Matias Rojas obviously was an underrated signing for Inter Miami, but Emil Forsberg for the Red Bulls has just been so good, and not enough people talk about what he's done for this team. I think they missed the playoffs last year, right? The Red Bulls. I want to say they did. If they didn't, they got eliminated very, very quickly. Let's see. Okay, yeah. So they got eliminated in the first round of the playoffs in 2023, and they made it to the Eastern Conference Final. Huge improvement. So it has to be talked about what that means. And a player obviously, like I said, Schwartz deserves some credit as the manager, but Emil Forsberg has been pulling the strings and really changed the attitude of this team and given them a confidence and has been a true leader and captain on the field. Orlando versus Seattle being a Nico Ladero homecoming would be fun. That would be fun for the MLS sickos, but I don't think enough people know about that. The casuals don't know enough about that for it to mean as much as it would to you or I. Red Bulls are starting to threaten again. Can they pull one back? Can they get a second goal? Kenny says Ricky has had a bad record against Seattle. He has to step it up. Yeah, but he has a good record at home. So that's the thing to be positive about. He's got a good record at Dignity Health Sports Park. So that is in his favor. And that is the only record that truly matters tonight. Ooh, looks like Reyes got Duncan McGuire in the side of the head with his cleat. It was an accident, but still crazy. Bad clearance by Cornell. Makes you wonder what this team would have done if they were able to sign Timo Warner in the off season or in the summer, excuse me. What this Red Bulls team could have looked like if they had been able to sign him. He's not doing good with Tottenham. He's got 2 goals and 22 appearances. If he came here, I think he could have been very, very good and could have been the difference maker to really have given them a chance to not just make it to the MLS Cup Final, but win the MLS Cup Final. Can you guys believe the MLS Cup Final is already next week, though? I just can't believe it. Sometimes it feels like the season has been very slow, and then sometimes it feels like it's dragged its feet. I mean, because this is the first full year we've done this on this account, MLS coverage. This is the first full year because we started in late October last year. And when I think about everything that's happened in between, it feels like it's been forever, but at the same time, it feels like it's went by pretty quick. And the season ending next week is hard to believe, honestly. It really is. I can't believe it's finally, we'll know who the 2024 champion is in less than 7 days away from now. And we're going to do a big stream for that. Huge stream. Going to have several guests on, hopefully. And we're going to make it a big, big event. Hopefully celebrating 5,000 subscribers also, hopefully. That's the goal. So I'm excited to see what happens with that. And it will be a fun day that we hopefully celebrate the new winner of the league and celebrate the personal accomplishment of the 5,000 subs for the channel. And then we will move on to the off-season content, which is already starting, honestly, just because all this stuff. It was a pretty tough foul, Muriel. Start with off-season content, see all the transactions, the player transactions, who's coming, who's going, what type of players are coming to the league, who's improving, all these coaching changes. Mr. Krabs says, good, the MLS Cup Final is next week. These playoffs have dragged on for too long. Yeah, but 3 weeks of it was just nothing, right? Just a break. Cali Rex says, if the Red Bulls could pull a cup win, wouldn't that mark their first cup in MLS history? It would. It'd be their first MLS Cup they'd ever won. And I was telling Andrew when he was on that it obviously is a little bit, I don't want to say bitter and they're sour because it sucks when your rival came to the league in 2015 and they've won an MLS Cup before you. They won in 2021. That being the New York City FC. Red Bulls have been one of the original 10 clubs, started in 1996, and they have not won an MLS Cup. So, yes, it would be their first, and it would be a very special achievement for the New York club. Antonio says, I agree with you. It feels like just yesterday we started and now we end it next week. That's the thing. It feels like it's dragged out, but then at the same time, it feels like it's kind of went by fast. Like thinking about doing my first ever MLS recap I did back in March when I started that series, the weekly recaps. That feels like forever ago, but at the same time, it feels like it wasn't that long ago. Looks like they're having a hydration break, or is it for just injuries? Mr. Krabs says MLS wanted the extra game in the first round, and it cost them Inter Miami and Columbus getting eliminated. If it wasn't for the extra game, if it was just a single elimination, well, the crew would have still been eliminated, but Miami would have advanced to the next round. So they're checking Reyes for a concussion. But also too, if the first round was based on aggregate instead of wins, LAFC would have been eliminated in the first round because they would have lost to the Vancouver Whitecaps like 5-3 on aggregate or something like that. They would have been 5-3, 5-4. So you made the bet MLS, time to lie in it. We'll see if there's any updates to the playoffs. The thing with MLS is nothing is ever set in stone. They're always making adjustments and changes to the playoffs. Nothing is locked. They're always changing something about it, which sucks to a certain degree because, obviously you don't want to you obviously want to have some type of consistency and some tradition. That's how you build it, right? And by doing something over and over again and it, being used to it, it's hard to build tradition when you constantly change things. So hopefully they find a format they like and just keep it the way it is. Stop changing it every damn other year. And honestly, with the way Apple has promoted the league, I don't need screw the inventory. I would go back to single elimination. They're not doing a good enough job promoting it anyways. I would go back to the single elimination. Nico Ladero's on too right now. Noah Ella is been a very solid player, I think, for the Red Bulls. 6'5", Swedish international, U22 signing, a lot of upside, still very young. Was surprised he didn't start tonight, honestly. MLS has a different winner every year, unlike other leagues. Cough, cough. I mean, they do, but I think that's going to change soon. Honestly, I think it's going to be more consistent with who's in the final few teams to win. I think that's going to change very soon. I think parity's dying in MLS. Honestly, I wish the first round wasn't the best of three. Aggregate or single elimination is so much better. It is better. And if they had done that on top of not having the 3-week break, the momentum would have been absolutely insane. The momentum would have been absolutely insane for MLS. I think the first round have their pros and cons. It's helped teams pull through and have been a curse for others. I mean, I just don't think 3 games belong in soccer. I don't think we want to see the same 2 teams play 3 times. Honestly, 2 is kind of pushing it, but it's okay. But we definitely don't want to see the same 2 teams play 3 matches in a row. That just very, very repetitive, and people don't want to see that. They want to see something new. It just makes the match almost feel predictable at that point. No one wants to see the best of 3. They want to see single elimination or the 2-leg aggregate. And if you think it's unfair for the 2-leg aggregate for the home team or the better seeded team, give them the option on if they want to play on the road first or home first. Ooh, Duncan McGuire went down. 3-week break killed me. Yeah, the 3-week break was rough, but we're back into it. We got the Eastern Conference Final going on right now. Got the Western Conference Final after this. Things are picking back up. We had the semifinals last week. The Cup is next week. Things are starting to pick back up. I'm excited. The channel's excited. The channel's been growing like crazy. So I can't complain now, even though it did suck at the time. Wingcake says only 8 teams per conference, no wild card, home and away, the final in a neutral venue to build up MLS Cup like a Super Bowl. I think that could happen eventually. The fear with MLS is they don't have enough hardcore fans that would travel to the game. Now, obviously, Messi and Miami would probably travel pretty well, but their biggest fear is that people wouldn't travel for a game like that. They think that the hosted home game for the better seeded team is better, but hopefully one day that does happen. Hopefully, Forsberg. Hopefully one day that does happen, where they do have a venue, where there's enough excitement to where they do a neutral venue or site for the MLS Cup Final. That would be awesome. Darvin Lima says 3 games is amazing. I don't think so. I don't agree with that personally. Like 3 games in a row is the same vibe as MLB baseball. You can tell who's going to win the series beforehand, and although there are a few surprises. Well, it's not even, I don't think it's just that. I think it's more just like the fatigue of playing the same team over and over again. Like in basketball, they do it in the playoffs, but in basketball, it's a little bit more exciting throughout there's more scoring. It's just a different sport. Soccer teams, playing the same team 3 games in a row can just be mentally exhausting, and fatigue, and it just feels a lot different. In a series in basketball, even though they play multiple games, that series normally ends in about 7 to 8 days, whereas they're dragging this first round series on for 3 weeks. That's the problem. That's the problem with it. And even the MLB series, like you said, that normally ends in a week. It doesn't take 3 weeks to decide who wins it. Oh, terrible clearance. I hope San Jose rivalry would start again with the Galaxy. The Cali Classico? Yeah, I think that could happen. I think that San Jose with Bruce Arena is definitely going to be back on track. I think they're going to be competitive again. I think that they will get things right, and I think they're going to make the playoffs in 2025 and be a relatively exciting team to watch once again. I believe that because they have a person who knows how to win this league, how to build teams in this league, knows how to win in this league, has a lot of connections, has a good eye for talent. I mean, he turned not the Red Bulls, but the Revolution into from a very mediocre franchise to the Supporter Shield winning MLS points record team, thanks to him. Corner for Orlando City. Foothead says they used to do a neutral venues for the final, right? Let me look that up and see. I don't think they might have, like in the first couple of years, but I don't remember the last time they did that. Let me see. Let me see if I can find that. Venues. All right, here we go. Let's see. Okay, so the first MLS Cup was at Foxborough, and the Revs didn't play in it. The second one was at home for DC, Chicago. So the third one was in Pasadena. Fourth one was in Foxborough again. Yeah, so they did. They used to play in neutral sites. They did used to play neutral sites. I don't know when that ended. Probably somewhere like 15, 20 years ago because the attendance was kind of poor. But yes, they did. I hope with Greg Berhalter, the rivalry between the Fire and the Crew will be revived. I mean, it probably will, but do you think that Greg Berhalter is going to be able to out-coach Wilfried Nancy? I think Wilfried Nancy will embarrass him like he's embarrassed Steve Cherundolo. The last time they did a neutral site in MLS Cup was 2012. Did they though? Where was that? I thought that was in Houston when I thought that was in Houston when they played the Dynamo. The Galaxy did. No, that was at home. They played at the Galaxy's stadium in 2012. The last neutral site one was 2010 between the Rapids and FC Dallas. It was in Toronto. FC Dallas and Colorado played at BMO Stadium. That was the last time, 2010. So about 14, 15 years ago. Like the Crew versus Red Bull was in LA. I'm not sure. But 2010 was the last one. (2010) was also in LA, and it was Galaxy being the Dynamo. So it was 2010. Ten minutes left plus added time. Red Bulls up 1-0 over Orlando City SC. Reyes is the only goal scorer in the game, finishing the header. Beautiful header, by the way. Orlando City really struggling tonight to get on the score sheet. And I think that we really look, they're promoting Silo at the game, Apple TV, now streaming Silo. But I guarantee they're not promoting MLS on Silo, any of those other shows. Funny how that works. But I really think Oscar's got to go. He's got to, if they lose this game 1-0 at home, I think Oscar has got to be fired either tomorrow or Monday. He's got to, if they're firing Tata Martino from setting a record, which obviously I agree with that because they needed to do better. They had higher expectations, but all these other coaches that have made the playoffs have been fired. Oscar has to be added to the list. Has to be added to the list if they lose this game. Do you think that in the future playoff games will be hosted in bigger stadiums in the city instead of the soccer specific stadiums if the popularity of the sport continues to grow? Probably not because they'll want to host it at their home stadium. But I think the finals could be like this, the final of the MLS Cup final could go back to neutral site eventually. It just depends on who it is. If Miami had made it this year, I would have found it very hard to believe that they would have had it at the Chase Stadium. I feel like they would have had it at Hard Rock Stadium in Miami. Peacock would have been a better deal for MLS. Yeah, but they wouldn't have been able to pay what they would like to have been paid. MLS was offered less money than what they had right now. Imagine if MLS had gotten the NBC deal that the Premier League had gotten, $455 million for less years. Well, $455 million annually for less years, so they could negotiate and get more money down the road. MLS, I don't think should have ever left NBC. Ooh, Angulo. Oh God, what a terrible miss by Luis Muriel. What a terrible finish. How did that stay in play? Paramount Plus would have been a better deal too. They got most of the leagues in the world. It's all about the money, though. They got to make some money. Now, promotion does matter, but they have to make some money. This was pre-Messi. They signed the deal, keep in mind. So if they knew that they had Messi, they would have gotten a better deal and more offers, but it was Angulo close. But they just didn't know that Messi was God, that was crazy. They just didn't know what was going to happen, and they didn't know Messi was coming for sure. God, that was close. Angulo should have made that. But they should have known. They didn't know that Messi was coming, and they didn't have that bargaining chip when they were negotiating the deal, which hurt them inevitably. And they got a worse deal than they probably would have otherwise. And then obviously the rumors now are that Messi's going to stay till 2020, possibly 2027, not just 2026, 2027. So Messi might have 3 more full seasons at Inter Miami, which is kind of crazy when you think about it, because a lot of people thought he might only play till 2025. And the fact that Messi's playing until 2027 likely now makes me believe he's definitely going to play for Argentina in the World Cup in 2026, which I think most of us assume was going to happen anyways. But that's good, because now when MLS or when Argentina play in the World Cup and Messi plays, they'll be able to go hand in hand and promote both of them, Messi and MLS, because he's playing in the World Cup, and they can get those average fans to take interest in the league if they do it right. 5 minutes away, or 5 minutes left plus added time. New York Red Bulls 1, Orlando City SC 0. Chance to see who makes it to the MLS Cup Final. Just because it's MLS, watch them add some crazy amount of extra time or added time. Crazy. Like 7 minutes plus. I guarantee they're going to do like 7 minutes plus of added time, even though there hasn't been 7 minutes of wasted time in this match in the second half. They're going to do something crazy like that. Also, too, does anybody know when the MVP award is going to be announced? This is going to be the latest MVP award announcement that I can remember. Last year, when Lucho Acosta, I want to say when he got, let's see, Lucho Acosta MVP announcement. Let's see. I'm curious when that got announced. November 27th. Okay, so they're 3 days past when the award got announced last year. So maybe it'll be announced tomorrow or Monday, December the 2nd, but that's really late. Maybe I don't know why they're waiting to announce that. Maybe they're trying to do it for promotion for MLS Cup Final. And it's likely going to be probably going to be Messi if I had to guess. Maybe they're just waiting to carry that momentum into the MLS Cup Final week, but this feels like a very late announcement. Hany Mukhtar got announced. Let's see. Hany Mukhtar got announced MVP of the league on, let's see the date. November 1st. So Hany Mukhtar got announced MVP of the league almost a month earlier than what they've announced this year, which is crazy when you think about it. Not really sure what the delay is on the announcement, but who knows? But I'm curious. I'm expecting that to be announced this week. I'm expecting us to know who's going to be the MVP of the league this week. Ooh, what a pass! Good clearance by Cornell. Was it offside? Less than 3 minutes of regular time plus added time to see who's going to the MLS Cup Final from the Eastern Conference. Red Bulls up 1-0 over Orlando City SC. What will inevitably be another choke job by Oscar Pareja. Have to feel for the Orlando City SC fans. Have to feel for them. They just, this team has got a lot of talent, and Oscar Pareja under-delivering once again with this performance. Aren't they changing the MLS schedule? That's proposed. There's a good chance that that's going to happen, but it's not official yet. But they're trying to do that by 2026. So next year could be the last year of the regular February through December schedule. Surely Cucho wins. I don't know if he is. I mean, they really sucked in the playoffs. They got swept. Less than 2 minutes left of regular time plus added time. Like I said, I expect it to be probably, just knowing MLS, going to be like 7+ minutes of added time. Be very surprised if it was less than that. Mr. Krabs says it's going to be Messi who wins MVP. MLS needs headlines. Yeah, that's why I'm thinking they're delaying it, because they want to build that hype going into MLS Cup Final week. Say, hey, Messi's the MVP of the league. By the way, MLS Cup Final this Saturday. I think they're trying to capitalize on that. Less than a minute left, plus added time. Very disappointing game for Facundo Torres today. Honestly, very disappointing performance by all Orlando City SC players tonight. Didn't do enough. Not good enough. Didn't show up in the big game. 5 minutes of added time, so less than 7. They're just not playing with any urgency. What the hell was that? The guy holding that, was that guy a player? Or what was up with that? I'm very surprised Orlando City, just how bad their attack has been tonight. Lights looking too bright for Lions. Luis Muriel, I want to see what he's making this year. I think he's making quite a bit. He's only got 4 goals this year. Now, a lot of people thought that was a good signing for Orlando City, but he hasn't lived up to the hype for Orlando City. He's making $4.3 million, and he has 2 more years left on his deal. 2 more years, he's making $4.3 million. He has been a huge bust for Orlando City. 31 appearances and 4 goals for Orlando City. That cannot sign. Okay, so it was you. No, it was Atalanta. That's who he did come from. Oh, damn, that was a crazy tackle. But that you can't have a signing like that. You cannot have a signing like that. Pay them close to $5 million a year, and then give you 5 goals and 33 appearances. They have to have more consistent play on a DP out of a DP than that. So that's just a wasted spot that they could use on someone else. Just really bad management, honestly, and bad management obviously on Oscar Pereira as well. Team's going to have to do some stuff this offseason to fix things. And Duncan McGuire just signed a new deal. Muriel's making $5 million a year almost. Henrique is starting at top. So I don't really understand what they're doing. Really don't understand what Orlando City SC is doing. Less than 3 minutes left of added time. Does Orlando City have one in them? Coronel with a good stop. Good save. Covers it. Wonder if Nico Ladero will be back next year too, or if he'll retire. Less than 2 minutes left. God, they just don't play with any urgency. "90 seconds left of added time. Probably have one more chance to score here. Wasted chance. Wasted chance. Minute to go in this game. Got to get the tweet ready. Got to get the tweet ready. Last chance right here. Ooh. There it is. New York Red Bulls have beaten Orlando City SC to advance to their first MLS Cup final since 2008. The underdogs of MLS continue to shock the world in MLS. Red Bulls advance. Wow. We'll have a chance to take on the winner of the Western Conference final winner to see who goes to MLS Cup final. Absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. Absolutely insane. Well, I'm gonna hop off this stream. I will be back in 25 minutes for the Western Conference final stream. I hope to see you guys there. We'll see who the Red Bulls will be facing on December 7th for the MLS Cup final. I hope I'll be back in 20 minutes, guys. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't already, and like the stream down below. I will see you guys in 25 minutes. See you then.